Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are here on GameStar TV for the Blizzard ANZ HGC qualifiers. My name is Kit Fox. I'm your host for this evening. Skimmy and Vandy are doing a fantastic job, as is Crisis, the producer. GL Phoenix is recording the offline VODs for your viewing pleasure later, and Grumpshot and Avexium are making sure that the games run smoothly as tournament admin. So shout out to everybody involved tonight. We are going to be drawing one of those 12 loot chest bundles thanks to Blizzard ANZ, but don't despair if you don't win, because we've got another one of those that can come at you right after game. This game after the best of three between Nomia and Darksided. So what we are going to do now is we're going to close off the raffle in Twitch chat. There is a 2-minute delay, so you'll see it appearing in your Twitch feed prematurely, so to speak. And we'll get that underway very, very now. And Jim Jam is the winner. So congratulations to Jim Jam, the skin magnet. He won a couple seasons ago. So congratulations, Jim Jam. If you are not Jim Jam, or even if you are, you've got another chance to get in on that sweet swag. So type !GS HOTS into Twitch chat. Once we open it up again, we'll be doing that very, very shortly. But like I mentioned, it is the big boys' time to duke it out. It is Nomia versus Darksided. It is the 8 best teams duking it out head-to-head here this week, and these are the 2 best, according to this week's statistics. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you back over to your casters, Skimmy and Vandy, for Game 1 of the final round of the playoffs this week between Darksided and Nomia.
Week 1, Week 2, and Week 3 now with the exact same setup. Yep, as you mentioned, Nomia up against Darksided. And going into this one, we have a look at the picks and bans in terms of the maps. We see some interesting changes here. Darksided, after the beating they got in week number 1 on Sky Temple, have gone for the Sky Temple ban again. And Nomia, realizing what happened to them last week, said, cool, we're going to take Tomb of the Spider Queen out of the rotation. Darksided can go for the first pick in this case, and Nomia going to bring this one back to Infernal Shrines.
It is a map that Nomia are quite comfortable on, as they have also indicated preference to play on this map in the past. So let's see which team is going to be coming out on top. And as you said, it has really set the tone over the past 3 weeks, that the fact that Nomia and Darksided are constantly meeting up head-to-head for these all-important points to decide who will go into the Season 4 finals on top, and who's going to be number 1, Skimmy. I mean, that's what we're all waiting to see, how this competition progresses.
Now, unless I've got my notes written down here wrong, it looks bizarre to me, but I don't believe these boys have actually faced each other in Season 4, especially competitively anyway, on Infernal Shrines. It's going to be cool to see how we duke it out when it comes to today's game. Looking into this one, as I mentioned, first pick for the boys in Darksided. Speaking, if we look at their past games, for the majority of it, they actually have always opted. What I can see from the 6 we have here, they've opted for first pick 5 times, so definitely looking to try and start off this best of 3 series with a bang once again. Indeed,
and I mean, most notably, on the side of Nomia, the last week it was a bit rough for them because they needed to have a sub for John coming back in. And a man of the moment, Jim Jam, who won the raffle before, was actually playing for Nomia. This time they've got the entire roster back together, and let's see if they're stronger for it. We can start to see a little bit, I guess, of their team. I mean, that expertise and more so the depth of heroes that they usually have available. A lot of that was missing last week. So I want to see the Nomia that we're all used to, all accustomed to. And that first ban on Genji coming out on the side of Darksided, showing that big respect coming out. If Fat94 has shown that he really likes to play that hero and gets the results on that hero as well.
Yeah, this is a bit of a throwback once again to the Season 3 setup when they went for the Genji rotation every single time. They have now opted on the side of Nomia for a Greymane ban. So after seeing what happened last game, potentially thinking that, nope, we cannot allow Haki to have that one far too strong in his hands. But this is good to see. This is saying that, look, we don't care if you have the Chromie. We have an answer to it. Not necessarily the best map for Chromie, but regardless, it's good to see that these teams have that priority set in place where they have a reliable strategy for cheese if necessary. First pick is in, and because Big Man Garish isn't banned, it's a first pick by Darksided.
So Darkseid keeping that one locked up until the time that they could comfortably first pick him. And that's immediately why, I guess the biggest reason why they've changed their banning order for tonight. Tassada is still on the board. We've seen high precedence of that hero. And whether Nomia want to run that duo support composition and perhaps also take up an Uther, I mean, both of them are very, very strong. I mean, Garrosh, let's see, what does he bring? He brings a lot of that displacement. He can drag heroes in, as we know, with that Groundbreaker ability, and then flip them. More notably, you can also spec into flip an ally, so you do need some follow-up for that, if that's to happen.
Oh, ETC and Malfurion as the counter-measurement to this one, potentially looking for the Surf Traveler there on ETC. If he gets flipped across the structure, well, he's in a whole world of trouble. Needs that get out of jail for free card. But Malfurion going to be locked on in. This is good to see. I mean, this is that transition in supports. Well, whoa. I said all this praise towards Hacky, saying he's not going to play Chromie. Probably not the best map, considering. But no, he just does not get... He does his own thing, Ben. He's his own man.
He really, really is. He's saying... You know, Skimmy, you think Chromie's not going to be that great on this map? Let me show you otherwise. And, I mean, Chromie still works quite well on this map because of how much fog surrounds the shrine. So she can quite safely sit out in the wings, generally speaking, and get off quite a lot of shots, especially when she gets the extended range. It can be quite hard to lock her down. And like you said, I hope Nomia have a strategy in place because we have seen time and time again, especially in the past, that they can actually face quite a lot of issues dealing with that Chromie.
I'm just trying to read into here with that grey main ban, what it really tells us, because generally speaking, we don't really see a grey main in that first rotation anyway. So, I mean, what really springs to mind for me is, one, it's just a comfort ban, so don't read into it too much. But otherwise, you're thinking that you're going to be running a very beefy comp in anticipation for the likes of Chromie, right? So, second ban does come out. It is on the Zor, which we've seen time and time again. Demise put on a masterclass, much the same as we saw him do it on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So it's a case of we do not want to be out wave cleared. We just need a comp where we can brawl you. We want to always meet your Chromie, and we just want to punch on.
Essentially that you cannot afford to play passively at all when there is a Chromie on the board. It will just sort of spell a little bit of your doom. And I mean, we've moved on from Towers of Doom, so I don't want to see any of that here tonight, Skimmy. That grey main ban, like you said, reading into it, he does work quite well on Infernal Shrines. That poke that he gets, especially when you're bouncing them off the little dudes, as we've coined them, it can work quite well in your favor. And like Greymane, he excels at everything. And I mean, you know this the best. You yourself are such a big fan of the Wolfman. So like you said, just taking away one of those all-star, almost S-tier champions in the game.
Yeah, 100%. And then look at that straight away, the Gordon comes out. I mean, this is a pick that really haunts Nomia's nightmares, right? So they're saying, look, we're that good that we don't even need to take it. And we realize that you guys can play it. And John, very proficient on that hero in particular. So it's a case of in the first rotation, picking away kill pressure, second rotation, taking away clear. And now we lead into the second phase. I'm really thrown off in the sense that, one, we've got a Garrosh in the first pick here, and I'm not sure how ANZ are going to respond to it. We've got Stukov as the healer of choice to try and buffer his health bar, which is deceitful. And then Chromie, but they are going to open with the Li Ming and the Leoric. So obviously you've got the Magic Missile armor for that spell armor in particular against Chromie, looking for those quick fights like they have done in the past with Genji. But then Leoric, I mean, this is a response to say, look, we want to take away your tank, in particular Garrosh, but then we have that wave clear, which you've tried to deny us in the likes of Gordon.
Oh, Skimmy, I'm not sure. I mean, I love that they have selected some poke of their own, that Leoric as well. Great if they can land that into Chromie and really dive on in. On the side of Darksider now, as you said, as I'm trying to read their team composition, they've got the Garrosh, great. They've got the Stukov, lovely. But where's the follow-up damage? Chromie, as we know, she is a bit of that poke hero. Garrosh, she's flinging heroes into it. It's actually working against what she's trying to achieve. With that poke, it's about keeping that range, getting them low, and then getting your team to finish them off. So there's the damage that we needed to really fulfill a lot of that comp. Ragnaros will give them that much-needed wave clear, and I think we're going to see another Lava, maybe?
It has to be.
Lava wave. It has to be. Sashin is really coined that. I don't even think, as far as Sashin is concerned, there's only one heroic that Ragnaros has. He doesn't even know anything about the Sulfurous
I'm
map.
pretty sure he has like some sticky tape over the other option, right?
Yeah.
Just doesn't even know it exists, right?
He's just so happy with the durability that he gets, and I guess with the pressure that he gets from spamming out those lava waves, clearing the lanes, getting that experience. And Tychus shredding down the tanks, because we can see it's a very, very beefy frontline presented by Nomia.
So, I mean, it's a singular tank. It's just going to be Garrosh himself. I mean, he's very tank in his own. A lot of questions have been thrown out in the community as to whether or not he is solo tank capable. And these questions will be answered during this game with the finest teams on display. But what I'm concerned about is the lack of support to try and peel for Stukov and Chromie. Yes, they have the Tychus grenade for the likes of the Mosh Pit Interrupt. Same with Garrosh with his flip. I'd be imagining he'd be going into a throw build with that throw ally. to try and give him team a little bit of mobility. But Lunara is the final lock in here, looking to spread that damage across and keep Stukov in check. That bouncing healing pathogen is going to find some value, or much the same as Nazebo. Lunara is really going to start to hurt.
She will, and I mean, I'm interested that they opted for sorry, I just got tongue cut. For the I couldn't even say Paul Lunara's name, so I just decided to make my own. But I'm interested that they opted for the Lunara instead of the Valor. As we've seen both teams, Nomia especially, they really, really love running that Valor. And I think it's perhaps they just don't feel confident enough if they're not running that duo support composition to keep her alive. The Lunara also has the advantage of, if you do opt into that leaping strike, you do get a little bit more mobility, as well as that poison to spread that damage out and really just make moves have to work overtime to keep everyone topped up. She also scales phenomenally well into the late game and is quite good at taking down the Punishers if Darkseid end up taking the Shrine and spawning that Punisher.
So one thing I'm really happy about, right, is that Darkseid have actually realized, or maybe it's just taken a bit of time, they've slept on it, they've actually gone into this one and said, cool, we are going to pick that Garrosh. I think it's a hero that just fits their playstyle so perfectly, does so much against 4 to 5 man push strats. He's a fantastic defender. If you get too aggressive, he just flips you over the wall. So it's fantastic to see them. But let's not harp on too much. Let's introduce these teams for the final series tonight. It is week 3. These teams have met each other twice so far, and the score is 1 apiece. So they are playing for pride, but obviously for the glory. Let's introduce the team on the left. Starting it off, it is Team Darkseid and Moops on Stukov. Tychus played by Demise. Haki on his Chromie. Robodoba debuting Garrosh and Sashin on Ragnaros.
And on the red side, we've got Team Nomia. This time, substitute free. They've got John back. And we have Fat94 playing Lunara, Vanilla on Malfurion, Ryu on Leoric, John on Li Ming, and Penta on ETC.
And John has gone for that all-important Force Armor at the level 1, so it's going to give him 50 Spell Armor against the next ability. So influential against the likes of Chromie. And then Innovate. Shando's clarity picked up by Vanilla, so looking to try and get as many cyclings off these cooldowns as possible. And we talked about the machine gun potential last game. We're going to see it on display this one.
Really, really are. What I'm interested to see was what Robodoba had opted for on that Garrosh, and it is going to be Warbreaker. So we chatted about this a little bit off stream on what we think the best level 1 talent for Garrosh is, and we do think that Warbreaker, the utility that it provides is just too good to pass up, especially because it is one of those stacking questing talents. So Robodoba will be rewarded every time he can hit that Groundbreakers, looking to see if he can finish that quest up early and fast and just get that utility happening out, reduce the cooldown.
There will be a few, obviously, good heroes against the Garrosh to try and deal with him, specifically Leoric and Lunara. Not to mention Li Ming if he can get low, because obviously it is armor. But wow, speaking of armor, without any spell armor, Chon nearly gets one-shot by the full-told Haki on the Chromie. A very close first blood potential there, but nothing going to happen at this stage.
Haki's like a little shark on that Chromie, just hiding in the wings. You can hear the did it, and then once the sand gets dumped, that's when he just hops out of the water and just really chomps your health bar. Need to keep tabs on that one, and like we said, progressing into these team fights, we would like to see Nomia play aggressively. Get that pressure on that Chromie, don't let her poke for free. John, he's looking to also see if he can get the poking, and if not, just what John needs to be able to do, if he can't get the poke on the frontliners, at least get enough onto Chromie so that he's forced to retreat.
Another thing that's interesting to note here, Vandy, is just actually how the Darkseid boys have set up this roster. This is the second week now they've actually put Robodoba as the main tank, switching Session away from it, who was their main tank for such a long time. So bringing in Robodoba, it's almost like a switching of power there as Ragnaros does fall. Leoric takes him on down. The gank successful once again from Fat94. Doesn't matter if he's Genji or if he's Lunara, he will make an impact.
I was just about to say that, Skimmy. So Fat94, he's played a very interesting game tonight by being the rotating hero, by being the ganker. It's not about the tanks as we saw last game when it was Darkseid versus NMD. No, it seems that they've got Fat94 to get that rotation, put pressure onto lanes that might need the extra assistance.
And the Shrine does begin in favor right now of Darkseid, and almost as if Garrosh is a little bit like old school Kerrigan. He's gone for in the kill. Or in for the kill, for that matter, as he will be definitely going in for those kills on these little dudes, making it 20-10 right now, and it seems to be no response from Nomia right now. Fat94 still staying in the top lane, still keeping Session in check, making sure that he doesn't have to sustain the push power before that lava wave is unlocked. And, I mean, the XP is working in their favor right now. They hit level 7 first, or level 6 first, sorry.
I mean, this seems to be the story we generally see with Nomia. In terms of the first Punisher, they never seem to be too fussed with it. They put so much more value, so much pressure on getting that experience because they know the first Punisher, it has a relatively small health pool. You can bait it over the wall. And, I mean, unless your composition is amazingly effective at pushing, you can generally do it. But
Look
here we
at
go.
that.
I've cast his curse.
That is the power of Garrosh. You just saw it right there. He got locked in place from the Punisher. He got flipped. He got stunned in the Frozen Orb, and he just got pounded to death. Easy kill, an easy trade.
And what that kill really then enabled Darksided to do is they could get so much more value out of that push than they should have been otherwise able to get. So I'm so sorry for the Caster's Curse. I mean, we've seen it always happen, but I mean, he just got, it's an ETC, it's one of your tanks. He got absolutely shredded. Penta, just not showing any respect to Garrosh, really paid the price there.
And this is what I was saying in the early game. This is a hero that I really think works in favor of Darksided because he can afford to make players like this. This is a hero that otherwise really hasn't been a big factor for them to consider. And good to see that jumping into this one, ANZ is starting to wake up to the calling. But do jump to a pause, have to wait and see what that is about. Looking into this one in the top lane, Rio is still keeping Session in check for the most part. They haven't been doing double lane soaks. They have been keeping Fat94 as that revolving door, keeping checks on the map, especially with the Wisp. But it looks like these boys are ready to jump back into the scrap. Level 7 apiece, nothing too hasty at this stage. No kills, no faults. It's all even.
Even Steven, that's the name of the game. And I mean, Nomia, they have recovered quite well from that. I guess the biggest talking point was that fort did not go down. It is low, yes, but it didn't go down. So that experience that it otherwise would have netted Darksided, it still is, I guess, free for the taking if they can find another push in. And Nomia as well, they deal quite nicely with the Khazra camp. That was taken by Darksided. However, by taking the Merc camps, they do get a nice little chunk of experience to add for their troubles. This is where things can start to get interesting, though. And I mean, Ryu, he's shown us time and time again how comfortable he is being the solo laner for Nomia and how much pressure he's happy to put on. He generally crushes his lane very, very effectively. And if he's playing an unfavorable matchup, Nomia, they're there to supplement that and to make sure that they can win that solo lane.
I mean, the guy has so much competitive experience in just gaming in general, right? So he has got a level head on those shoulders, and he is not going to fall prey to the tilt that can occur from Hero League. Not to mention just your competitive Rainbow League. So he's ready. He's ready to rock and roll, especially as the Orc. If he does die, he can come back from the dead. So it's a perfect hero to cure any tensions. As the next shrine does spawn, this time in the top lane, no choke points. And very easy to manipulate, and as a result, Ninja is gonna, not Ninja, Fat94 on Lunari is gonna begin this Shaman camp, try and get some XP and try and keep that win for level 10 in their favor.
Both teams, they're keeping their lanes pushed. What that really does is either you need to respond to clear it or you miss out on that nice little chunk of experience. And also both teams, they have timed the Shaman camp, yes, but Nomia has actually taken the camp. I thought that Darkseid, they were going to rotate to it. Instead, they want to be the first ones there. Sashin, however, falling.
Yeah, I was just watching that fight in the bot lane. Yeah, Penta as well as Fat94 just going for the trade. Sorry, John. He was just looking there for the kill. Fat94 and Villa rock up to the party saying, once again, we don't really care about this one. And this is almost a bit of a throwback to what we saw at the Western Clash when Nomia went up against Galeforce Esports. They avoided every single objective and just opted for split push pressure. They want to keep this lane in check. They hit 10 first as a result, and that's a half-level buffer for them to work with if they decide to play around with it.
And I mean, mind guys, if we delve a little bit further into why Nomia is doing this, you might be saying, why aren't you playing the objectives? You actually strengthen the objectives in the mid to later game if you can already take out the first forts. Not only does the Punisher scale, but the fact is that they have a clear path to the keeps, and that's when things get interesting because the aim is to open up that keep and then you win a team fight, go for the win. That's really what Nomia, they're already playing with the mid to late game inside.
And as the Mortar Punisher joins on in, spewing its own fire, as does more fire come across the lane. The Love Wave joining on in. Going to decimate any type of minion. And speaking of decimate, it's not going to be the one that's chosen here. It's going to be the Warlord's Challenge. Looking to silence, looking to taunt, and do an AoE taunt at that. Varian is crying in a corner right now, wishing he was meta right now, but it's not going to be the case. Entomb is there, and they get the Odin to try and turn things around. The flip, the switch, Rio running away, but they're not going to get any kills.
I mean, speaking of crying in corners, Ryu, he had two locked up in his Entomb quite comfortably, but no members of Nomia were able to collapse. That fort is standing with nothing. Nomia now, they have two forts standing on barely anything, Skimmy. The old saying, you sneeze and they'd fall down. But that just means it's denying the experience that Darkseid would otherwise have gotten by taking down that structure. So by having that structural advantage, it really does help out Nomia, and it punishes Darkseid.
Well, this is the season to be sick right now. Colds are around, it is winter, and if you're a Game of Thrones fan, then winter has come and it's gone. So looking at this map, they are not only cosplaying, but they are playing. So these guys are on their top form right now. And I mean, looking at level 7, I was wondering if Garrosh should go for it. He has gone for Into the Fray, meaning that he will have that ability to chuck out those teammates as that solo tank, making sure he can peel all important people like Haki. But there goes the Entomb once again. Do they have the follow-up? Do they have the root, the Twilight Dream? The damage is the more important question. And yes, they do. The flailing swipe's not going to be enough. Garrosh falls to the ground.
Plus 50 armor did nothing, as you can see finally when when 5 members of Nomia were surrounding him, and great pickup by Ryu as well. I could see he didn't even care that he was taking so much damage. He just sort of sat there, put his sunglasses on, let Drainhope do its thing, let Nomia do its thing. More importantly, there's just so much control coming out of the Nomia boys, and they are playing like they're on fire tonight.
And that they are. The Flames on UI say the exact same story, Vandy. They hit level 13 first, and now they are the ones in control. They acquire that level lead, and it's a healthy one at that as they carry on keeping up the split pressure. They go for the Khazra, and that's going to push in through the bot lane, which had already taken down that fort for when they traded objectives. Next Shrine does spawn, this time in the bot lane, so as you mentioned, that will allow it, if they win it, to do so much. But look at Fat 94. He is flying, he is dying, and now he's running.
He had some serious airtime. I believe he got thrown into Chromie's time trap, and that just had a really weird interaction where he was stuck in stasis mid-leap. So, I mean, these are the weird and wacky things that we're going to see coming out of the interactions with Garrosh's Wrecking Ball. And I mean, it was quite a sight to behold. For their troubles, however, Darkside, they did manage to pick up a kill. Penta has DC'd. That's why a pause has been called. Oh, so if we take stock of, I guess, the surroundings and what's been used, we can see Odin as well was popped in that last fight. Demise will be looking to see if he can get some value. And I'm actually seeing Vanilla. He's almost getting sandwiched by the Dark-Sided boys. Whether he can get out of that one, we'll wait and see. But it means Nomia, they're forced to retreat with 3 members.
Well, let's see what they have. I mean, they still have Twilight Dream, they still have Mosh Pit, and Wave of Force will be up in 10. So the cooldowns are in their favour. As you mentioned, Odin already being popped, so Vanilla can survive. If they can turn around and back him up, they have a very good chance of turning this fight in their favour. He is going to fall on down, just so much direct damage. But hang on, Session a little bit overconfident right here, doesn't realise that the rotation was coming across, and he has to have realised. John does get out, he gets the reset, and he gets the dominance heal.
Demise was providing some heavy artillery fire, but as you said, the reset really allowed John's triumvirate to get him back that all-important HP and make sure that he did not fall. Dark-Sided, they're not fussed with what's going on. They got 3 members working on this bottom shrine. They're looking to capitalize and see if they can finally get any value out of these objectives. I mean, you can only ignore the objectives for so long as well because, as I said, they do scale. So Nomia, once they've opened up the map, they need to also look to start capturing these objectives of their own. They can't, however, with those deaths. What that just did is force them to seek value in other areas of the map. So by taking out that shaman camp, that's what they're looking to do.
Yeah, it actually really disrupted their flow. They were penta DCing and dying as a result as well. So unfortunate there for himself, but they will stabilize. They still do have a half-level lead in their favor, and they pick up the shaman camp for their efforts, which is going to elicit a response from Darksided. Or is it? Right now, 4 members posturing for that rotation to the top lane. And the members of Nomia are just on the hunt, waiting for that one person to do something crazy. Haki in mid lane is going to use that Time Walker's Pursuit to reveal the map, and he's not going to fall victim to any surprise bush ganks.
No, Ryu is forced to get on out. There are 3 members up top seeking his blood. Nomia, they're not fast. He does get out. That once again punishes Darkseid. The fact that they could not get that final kill on Ryu. They did dislodge him from the push, though. That is important. What we can see here, both teams now ignoring the objective. Darkseid, they don't feel confident taking that until they can see that they can finally get some value with the Punisher, because it's been the story. They've gotten the Punisher, but they've gotten no value out of it. No structural advantages have come of it.
Nomia saying no Entomb, no problem, we don't need 16, but, well, Haki spots that something is amiss. He's thinking, this is not right, they're all missing, they have to be waiting in a bush for that surprise gank, and he was checking it with the Sandblast, but he did not guess correctly, and, I mean, the Arcane Punisher is picked up as a result, the 3rd one this game. Nomia still not phased with us whatsoever, they're just keeping Rhea in the top lane, keeping that split push pressure up, and that he does, he's just prepping for the late game.
He is indeed, but this is where things, Darkseid, they need to force a play. Because that fort is now taken out in the bottom lane, the Punisher actually spawned in one of the best lanes that it could have on the side of Darkseid. This or top lane would have netted the same results. Punisher marching straight onto the keep.
Molten Core used in this siege here to make sure that this can be acquired. Same with the Odin. They are going all out for this one. They're saying, look, we need to hit the keep. We need to try and do something because they've got 16 and we're going to hit 16 very shortly ourselves. But if we don't hit it in time, they can force the fight once John Cena jumps on across. And he's low. He's down to 30%. You can see Rio on the side looking for that flank. He's going to try and lock one influential member in place with the Entomb. And there it goes. Love Wave on top of himself. The route is there to follow. Can they get the kill? John on the flank looking for it. Twilight Dream is there and Rag goes down, Vandy.
He does. Now they're working their way onto Robodova. The armor is creeping on up as Garrosh's passive takes into effect. Oh, he's staying alive. Look at how durable and tanky Garrosh can get. It's just stalling the inevitable, though. Another kill picked up by Nomia. Their keep also does survive. However, there is a massive Khazra wave in the mid lane trying to push down that outer fort.
Yeah, fantastic fight there from Nomia to make sure that they did not drop with the keep. Yes, they had to respond to the Khazra, but they are still ahead, and they are still prepping for this late game. And I say that's when they really unlock. We talk about the damage potential. They are looking for that one shot. What we can see so far has been the Entomb goes out, and they try and blow somebody up during that execution. Really haven't seen any big, meaty mosh pits to start things off yet. And as long as they're on damage control, as long as they're not far behind, Lunara, as we say, scales up ridiculously, really impacting what Stukov can do. That buy kill switch is not available. Well, Darkseid are in a lot of trouble. So leading into these next few shrines, I mean, really keep your eye on how Nomia start to play around it. They will definitely change their positioning and their posturing.
They are, and what I like to see from Nomia as well is that I haven't actually seen Haki blow up anyone, more importantly. So Nomia trying to limit the poke and siege potential that Haki brings. And maybe that's also why they played so much of the ring around the Rosie games this early into the game. Like, I just have not seen Haki having the impact that he normally does. His damage numbers tell otherwise. He is hitting all of his shots, sure, but I haven't actually seen any kills traded. It's not that normal, someone's deleted and then Darkseid are capitalizing off that. Nomia showing that they're very conservative in their positioning, and they're actually forcing Darkseid to respond to them by playing so aggressively.
And right now, Nomia are forcing them to respond because the Khazra in the bot lane, and that's going to keep Ragnaros in the bot lane distracted. Shrine spawns in the top as well, so this is really desirable for Nomia right now. As long as Penta does not die, he got dropped so low. They tried to go for the 4v5, and actually it's going to work against him. Lunara drops on down. What is a 4v5 is won by Darksided.
Great value coming out of that Warlords challenge, really locking up that 94. Vanilla in the midst of it as well. Wrecking Ball, he's going to drop. Surely there's no one to back him up. Oh, the Entangling Roots at the last moment.
Two members dropped for Nomia in what should not have happened. It was a 4v5 situation, and now the objective, the Shrine has spawned. Darkseid once again can pick it up for free with the damage scaling up at 15 minutes. That once again is looking to try and take that keep, Vandy.
Need to be very, very mindful. That was Fat 94 just getting too close to Garrosh. He does have that AoE taunt. That's the Warlord's challenge coming up, and all it takes is an instant. Lunara is so incredibly squishy. She is a glass cannon in that regard. So you just manage to get any form of CC on her, and she's very easily blown up. And that just punished Nomia a lot. However, Sashin, they do get a kill for their troubles. That's the classic Nomia that we like to see. They can't get any value in the top lane, seek value elsewhere. They waste no time. That's the season experience coming out from these guys as well. Darkseid unfazed. This time they get the objective. Surely they can get some value from it.
It's going to be a 4v5, but they will have that sieging potential. With the Garrosh always at that threat with the flip, you've got the Odin, and you've got the Chromie always shooting out missiles from afar. But the rotation comes across. 39 out of the 40 picked up. They're going to play this one as slowly as necessary. Fantastic shot calling here by Darkseid, waiting for Ragnaros to get back into the mix of things. So they can delay it. Obviously no pressure at the start, but that's going to be some pressure onto Robodova. Biokill switch used very early on. He's got no healing, 40 armor, and a shield. But he's not found the target he's after as Fat 94 begins to apply the poison, slowing them all down. Can they get the kill? They can't. Rio using the drain hope for whatever sustain he can net. And the Odin comes across, and surely now Nomia back on out and say thank you very much. Easy trade.
Great adaptation in the strategy coming out on the side of Darkseid. They are learning. They're seeing what Nomia are all about. As you said, it was about that Entomb. See if they can lock one member out and blow them up. This time, Moves was ready with the flailing swipe, denying the kill. You can see it bought them enough time to really get their Garrosh to get Robodova out of harm's way. No kills being traded. A lot of resources coming out on the side of Nomia in terms of just that Entomb. Sorry, a lot of resources coming out on the side of Darkseid to stop that kill.
Well, Shamans are being picked up by Nomia right now. Odin down for 60, Flating Swipe down for 25. So every ultimate is available for Nomia. They've got two different options here. They go for the fight right now, knowing those cooldowns are down, or they just wait for the level 20 and pick a fight there. They know that they cannot win this shrine. They know that there's no potential for it to be picked up. they've got to make an idea of what is going to be the most advantageous. They know that the Kaz are being picked up by Darkseid and in the bottom lane. Now it's a case of bush stalking and bush playing, but Timewalker's Pursuit, that clairvoyance, I mean, really disrupts all of that.
And all while this is going on, that Khazra camp is pushing down the bottom lane. That is their lowest keep, by the way. If it's not answered too soon, it could push through.
Penta going for the power slide on towards Session, who gets dropped on very low. Bottle Storm comes across. Entomb whiffs! That is huge. And he gets chucked out of there by the Garrosh. The window has passed. They hit 20. That would have been the play.
We can see now Penta, he got some serious time. That's the second time I've actually seen that happen. Weird interaction with Chromie. Penta does fall as well. That was enough time for Hacky to finally get the kill he's been looking for all game.
John's exposed, but he bolts out of harm's way. He receives so much damage to the face, down to 5 health. He needs a kill. He needs some healing. Damage is being chucked from afar. The artillery is insane right now, but Moops gets jumped on by Ryu, and Fat94 is galloping around doing all kinds of stallion plays, playing as fast as I'm talking right now as the bomb comes across. It's a trade of kills. It's a 2 for 2, and who has the firepower to survive?
Oh, I think this one definitely goes in favor of Darksided. I mean, although Nomia, they managed to get some kills, sure, and equalize it, but I was so worried about that Khazra camp. Darkseid, they would have been aware of that. That's why they pressured that fight. That's why they forced it. They finally get a keep for their efforts. So now they will have the catapults spawning in that bottom lane, providing constant map pressure. Nomia, they could only stall for so long. As I said, there is still that uncapped Punisher in the top lane that Darkseid can take at any moment's notice because they have 39 of the little dudes that they need.
Really impressed by Darkseid, Vandy. I mean, honestly, we've talked about their macro performance this week and almost at the very end of last week, but they are putting on a show. They are showing Nomia, look, you guys love to play this kind of style, but we've learnt so much since week 1, and now we're picking up Khazra camps, we're getting keeps whilst you're trying to fight us. It's almost as if the clock has spun around on itself.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's almost like old Nomia meeting new Nomia, or Nomia as we've coined them. I'd like to see Nomia finally win a decisive fight. And a lot of what went wrong in that team fight, as you said, Skimmy, was just that all-important Entomb, the whiff by locking Penta in, was massive. It just meant that they couldn't properly fight until that cooldown was back. It's not a huge cooldown. I believe it's only 60 seconds, but still... Sorry, 50 seconds, but still, those are precious, precious seconds when it gets this late into the game.
This is a massive siege in the top lane right now. Shaman, Punisher, and a Lava Wave, not to mention the heroes themselves. Odin and Hacky looking to do so much work. The bombs come across some 2 big targets, and that keep does not stand a chance. Look how healthy that Punisher is, down to 75%. The jump comes across. They're looking for the collapse, but Robodob is not in a positioning. But speaking of, that's the Entomb, the double Lava Wave trying to go for Ryu, locking him in place. He's taking so much damage, and he's turned into bacon.
Ryu's fallen Punisher is now actively on the core. If they lose another member, this could be disastrous for Nomia. What that'll mean is Darkseid can push for the win.
So much damage between everything that Darkseid are chucking at them and this 6th member, the Punisher himself, combining a bit of much needed extra CC on the topping of that cake. And that's going to do it, Vandy. Game number 1 on Infernal Shrines, the first time they meet. It's going to go in favor of Darkseided.
I love the way Darkseid played it. They were so patient in the way that they waited to cap the Punisher. They finally saw the opportunity to take it, and they got the push that they needed. And that's going to be GG. Very well executed. We also got to see Garrosh's debut, and it was a win. Robodoba just... that's why they were banning it. I think they were saying, so this is why we're banning it. You let us have this hero. These are the types of plays, the type of gameplay that we're going to bring.
Great to see there with Garrosh making his debut in the competitive circuit. He actually puts in the work like we foretold. Doesn't emit the most numbers, but he is not about the damage numbers. He is all about the control to set up for your teammates, which is essentially what you should be having in a competitive setting. But there we go. Game number 1 in favor, quick fashion. 20 minutes at that. Very close on the scoreboard, but it does go in favor of Darkseid to start the night off. It is a best of 3 as always. So for the meantime, as we get ready for game number 2, back to your host, it's Kit Fox.
Well, that is why we love esports, ladies and gentlemen. We love a David and Goliath story, and we love to see Garrosh. And everybody was saying that he was going to struggle a little bit, that he had 0 mobility, that he struggled a little bit with sustain. But I tell you what, have a look at that game. Darksided coming out with the win over their arch nemesis Nomia in game number 1. Congratulations to those lads. If you have just joined the broadcast, we are giving away those 12 loot chest bundles thanks to Blizzard ANZ. So remember, type !GS HOTS into the Twitch chat, and you must be a follower of the channel to win, or otherwise it will come up and tell every single person watching on screen that you're not a follower and that you miss out. And then it goes up for grabs again So once again, exclamation mark DS Hots. We're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be 5 minutes and then back at it for game number 2 of Darksided versus Nomia right here on GameStar TV.